Hey, what's up? It's your girl Nique, and you're tuned in to Nique at Night. And tonight I'm going to be talking about this Jussie Smollett situation, and I'm going to be talking about how the mayor of Chicago is considering suing Jussie Smollett for $150,000 to recoup some of the funds that they lost in the man hours of trying to investigate this crime and things like that. As you guys know, yesterday the charges for Jussie Smollett were dropped. The case was dismissed, and the evidence in this case that the Chicago PD had built up against Jussie was sealed and closed, and the case was just wiped clean like nothing ever happened. But yet, on the flip side of it, it was kind of funny and ironic that number one, he forfeited the $10,000 bond that he had got put up when he was arrested. And then, so that means that he just gave that up, just considered it a wash. And then it's crazy how they said that, he had already served this time for community service, but it's like there was never any community service ordered for him. And it's just ironic how the community service that they're referencing that he already served was set up over the weekend. And so basically what happened is he went into this community place or whatever, I forget like the organization, over the weekend, and he goes there and he's stuffing these envelopes with mail or whatever he's stuffing them with. I don't know if he was doing more mail to send out wherever he wanted to send it, whatever. But his community service that they say that he already served, that wasn't imposed on him or required of him, they considered that as, good on this situation, because according to the prosecutor, that's all he would have got anyways, when the prosecutors, I don't know, when he was facing up to 64 years for this. And I don't know, it's just all crazy. So after that, there were a lot of conspiracies. The Chicago PD were not happy about it. The mayor, he was not happy about it. There was a lot of people who came up with these conspiracies because they're like, okay, he has tie-ins to these politicians. He has these relationships with these politicians. There were these messages and these text messages that surfaced. I don't know the validity of them, but I'm going to say alleged. I'm pretty sure that it was an associate of Michelle Obama, but I'm going to say alleged. There was these text messages that surfaced that allegedly said that there was a favor being asked to let Jussie Smollett off. And it came from an associate of Michelle Obama's. So there were all these type of conspiracies as to how this suddenly just happened. Like nobody understood it. There were a lot of people who felt like this vindicated him. Like because the charges were dropped, then that means he's innocent. A lot of people felt uneasy about the relationships that he had between himself and Kamala Harris and her anti-lynching bill on the basis of her anti-lynching bill was after this whole staged, whatever the kind of attack it was, staged or not staged, I don't know what we're calling it since the charges were dropped, I don't know. But a lot of people felt uneasy about the relationships between her and Jussie Smollett. So I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to go on over to CBS Chicago, and I'm going to show you guys their report on the matter on how the attorney, well, not the attorney, the mayor is considering suing Jussie for this. I'm going to play a little smidge of their video, and then I'm going to read to you guys the report and what they're saying in regards to why the mayor wants to consider suing Jussie Smollett to recoup some of this money. Because if you guys, it's just crazy. Let me just show y'all the video.
CBS News learned tonight that the mayor is considering suing Jussie Smollett to recoup some of the money spent on this case. With all charges dropped, Jussie Smollett's record one step closer to being wiped clean. Is there any precedent for this here?
No. I must have talked to 50 prosecutors and judges today, and every one of them was shaking their heads. Never seen anything like it before.
All for 16 hours of community service and an agreement to forfeit his $10,000 bond.
Okay, so as you can see, Okay, so you can see that. Now, let me read to you guys the report. Some of this just was shown in that video, but I didn't want to use their whole entire video. So let me just read this to you guys. So it says, Chicago CBS, with all charges dropped, Jussie Smollett's record is one step closer to being wiped clean, but Chicago mayor is considering suing Jussie Smollett to recoup some of the wasted money the city spent on the case. CBS News has learned. CBS 2 legal analyst Irv Miller said there is no precedent for something like this. And again, that's kind of what I just showed you, but I'm going to still read it anyways. None. I must have talked to 50 prosecutors and judges today, and every one of them was shaking their heads, Miller said. Never seen anything like it before. Charges against Smollett were dropped for 16 hours of community service and an agreement to forfeit the $10,000 bond. It's frankly outrageous, Miller said. But for CBS Chicago, the costs of his case were much greater. The city saw its reputation drag through the mud. The financial cost, this $10,000, doesn't even come close to what the city spent in resources to actually look over the cameras, go through the data, gather all the information that actually bought the indictment by the grand jury, Emmanuel said. CBS News learned Emmanuel is considering suing Smollett to recoup some of those taxpayer dollars wasted, adding up to $150,000. That's 15 times more than the bond the actor forfeited on Tuesday. Even the lead prosecutor calling Smollett guilty, Miller said, even that's not a slam dunk in the case. They could sue him civilly, Miller said, but they'd have a tough time because he's still saying, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, he's not copping to this. He's sticking to his script. No matter how shady, no matter how, sketchy this story has been from the beginning, he's sticking to his script, basically. It says, you investigated this case, but I'm a victim. I'm not a bad guy. The city is out. Chalk it up to experience, but they cannot chalk it up to the fact that there's no detriment for other people not to lie to the police department. This case could be reviewed by Attorney General of the state of Illinois, but in a statement Tuesday night, the office said it's no plans to get involved. So I want to know what you guys feel about this. And again, I know that I've been watching around the internet, and a lot of people have this sentiment, and they're like, well, when there was a death in Chicago, like the police killed this boy in Chicago, the mayor didn't say anything about that. So why is he saying anything about this? And I'm not going to justify him not speaking then and speaking now. But what I will say is this was something that was going to incite a major race riot. Before it was revealed that Jussie Smollett kind of, had this elaborate story, as details started to leak, people started to realize that, it just didn't make sense. And, the characters were changing. There were these white men, then they were African, and then, he had the noose around his neck, and then it was the polar vortex, and then, it was freezing cold that night, and then he was out at 2 a.m., and then, it just all of those things, it just didn't make sense. He added way too much flair to this story. There's too many connecting things where it connects him and the brothers together. Like, for instance, when they wanted to get his records to kind of see, or his phone records to kind of see like what was happening, like to ping his area or whatever, when they were trying to, build this case, Jussie Smollett, he did not want to give up his phone records, and rightfully so. He's a celebrity. He may have celebrity contacts and, contracts or, confidential things he doesn't want to share. I get that. But when he did submit his records, he redacted the numbers of the brothers, and they were redacted on his record. But then the police force, they had subpoenaed his actual records. And in his actual records, that's when they seen the redacted numbers versus, what the actual numbers were. And they were able to yield in the direction of the brothers. And so with all of that being said, it is so sketchy. This case is so sketchy. And that's why I don't believe that he's innocent, because none of it has ever made sense on his behalf. His story don't make sense. His interview didn't make sense. None of this stuff made sense at all. And as the pieces came out in the video of the brothers came out of them buying the supplies and, you know, all of these things and them not being able to find it on the cameras, you know, and it just was too much. And that's why I don't think that it was what do you call it? I don't think that he's innocent in this. But again, I've never thought that the 60 years or the felonies, I thought that those were kind of extreme. But I always felt like he should definitely pay a hefty fine. And the hefty fine definitely ain't $10,000. Like, he wasted a lot of man hours, and he also was on the brink of inciting a major race riot. And I'm not excusing the police for not being as vocal on black crimes against, you know what I'm saying, the black on black crimes or the crimes where the police commit against the, you know, black people and things like that. I'm not excusing any of that, but we can't ignore the fact that this case is suspicious. Also, the community service, how he was stuffing envelopes over the weekend. It's like I feel like they planned this from the gate that they were going to let him go free. Like, he didn't even have community service imposed. He wasn't inquired to do, not inquired. I'm over here rambling. He was not required to do community service, but somehow, some way over the weekend, he worked with this organization and he's stuffing envelopes, and then they come forward, he forfeits his bond, and then they seal the case, and then it's just dismissed, and then they're like, oh, he would have got community service anyway, so we're just going to take the community service that he just so happened to do over the weekend, and we're going to take that as time served. Like, if that don't reek fishy, some type of deal to y'all, then I don't know what will. Again, I don't agree with him going to jail, but I don't agree with him inciting a race riot either, because it is several black people, LGBT people, brown. It's so many people, like Muslims, all kind of people who have these attacks on them, that they're racial attacks, they're attacks on their religious views, and, you know, all of these attacks on a day-to-day basis. And now that he decided to come up with this, and I feel like he did, there are people who feel like he was vindicated and that makes him innocent. I don't think so. So for that, I'm saying there are so many people who go through these attacks on a day-to-day. So for him to, you know, come up with this elaborate plot and then just walk free off like it's nothing, I don't know. I feel some type of way, and I don't like to, you know, have our black people get, you know, slaughtered in the media, and I don't like our black people to just, you know what I'm saying, be unfairly tried and things like that. But this, we still got to hold our people accountable as well. Like, and he has to have, I feel like, some level of accountability. So as much as I don't like our people to just be slaughtered, we do have to have a level of accountability for them. And now this is just going to make other victim stories more non-believable. There's going to be people who actually get attacked and actually get racially profiled and actually get those things. And then now people are going to be more skeptical of it because of this situation. So I agree that, you know, more than $10,000 should be paid. What do you guys think about the mayor saying that he's considering suing for $150,000? And those of you who feel like, you know, Jussie was set up and, you know, none of the things that happened were sketchy to you, none of his actions, his gay Tupac and all, if none of that was sketchy to you and you feel like, you know, because the check said training and that makes him innocent, even though, like, who is gonna put for an attack on a check? I mean, if you guys feel like he's innocent, I want to hear from you as well. But I want to hear your theory on this. If you think he's innocent, how does all of these dots lead back to Jussie? How does, like, I want you to explain why you feel he's innocent. And for those of you who feel like, you know, he didn't deserve jail time, but he did deserve something, or whatever your thoughts is on this. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section, but I want you guys to definitely be respectful. In the comment section, we can agree to disagree, but we can convey our opinions with respect. We don't got to call people bees and hoes. We don't have to call people out their names to express our opinions. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. I want to know what you guys think about this mayor wanting to sue Jussie Smollett and him wanting to sue for $150,000 because he's saying it's 15 times more than what he forfeited. Let's talk about it in the comments. All right, guys. Peace.